Kulamalse, Kulamalse, Ninde Shinse Ilaka Itse. I'm honored to be here with you today. It's greetings, all my friends. My name is Ilaka Itse. My English name is Sandee. So I just wanted a picture up here. This is the Lutheran Mission Boarding School. It's a student reunion. I have lots of relatives up there on there. Often what it is that education is seen as more formal, all right? That it's more formal, it's institutionalized, so that there are set standards of what you're going to do in kindergarten, first grade, third, all the way up into graduate school, right? Learning is often thought of being more informal, and that you don't have to be in a school or an institutional educational environment to learn, right? That learning is occurring all the time. This is why I like one of the people I used in my dissertation, he was the father of scaffolding, is that as soon as you're born, you start learning, right? And you just keep building and building and building on it. So now the Western world has come back around to this, and they're saying, oh, we're going to do mentorship, we're going to do coaching, we're going to have peer, so they're bringing Vygotsky back in. So I think that's kind of interesting. So one of the things is, when I did my dissertation, I came up with Indigenous learning, and we'll talk a little bit about that. So tell me, bless you. And one of the other things that I just put this slide in this morning, because I was like, we needed to kind of talk about worldview, right? So your worldview, how you see the world, is going to be by your culture, the behavior, and values. And cultures, I've been taking a DEI certification through the university up by us, but cultures can be as small as your family unit to a large city, to the state, to the country. I mean, in Wisconsin, we divide our cultures up by the highways, right? Because it's like, oh, I'm up north. Well, no, you're not. Up north is like way to the Canadian border, so it's different. But your worldview kind of shapes who you are and what you think of education and what you think of learning. So I just put in here Western Anglo-dominant, and you'll hear me interchange those words. And then the Indigenous worldview. We have a different worldview of everything around us. One of my favorite quotes is by Vine Deloria, and I can't remember all of it, but he said, when Europeans first came over, they looked and they saw resources. We see our relatives. So that's kind of the difference of that worldview there. Intergenerational interaction is another really important one, because our elders are our wisdom keepers. They keep the knowledge. The grandparents, they pass that down. But the young, they keep us young at heart and curious. So we learn from them as well. And I think I have a slide for that. I think I broke it out. Yes. So this is up in Alaska. This is called the stick game, and we have some older people there, right? But this is with the Indigenous Alaskan games every year. You have to pull on that stick and try to pull somebody off. And then these people, like me, were pushing their hips so they don't get pulled up. And she is feisty. Oh, she won everything. She was good. But and these are some of the students up at ACC that we were up there, and that's my daughter, me, and that's the future. That's the next generation coming up, right? So we have to work with them so that we teach them in the right way, the good way. Experience. You can read and you can see, but it's not the same as just experiencing something, So this is, and witnessing, it's there and it's good. But this, you see a picture of a cat on papers. See rocks too, right? So, no. So, but I see that and I get a visceral reaction because I was at the end of editing my papers. So I was so tired, it was like 2 a.m, but I only had like 3-4 more days of editing and I knew I'd be done, so that excitement was there. So every time I see this, it just brings it back up. That big guy, Kitty, just said, no, that's it, go to bed, But that's that experience. And then you can share it, but it still is not the same as having it go into your body. And this is going to be important. So interconnectedness, we're connected to everything. Everything we do has a repercussion somewhere else. For those of us like right now, there are 7 generations ahead, 7 generations behind us right now in this moment. So the things we do here now are affecting what's going in the future and what was in the past. Even though on the other viewpoint with Anglos often it's like the past is the past. No, it's there and we're still connected with it and we're still influencing it. So everything is all together. So this is the last one, which I think is probably the most important one, but I always kind of leave it for last. And this is a sense of place. And this is sometimes very difficult for people who are not Indigenous to really understand or grasp. So place, some people think of this as where I live. This is my house. This is where I'm from, right? Some people think of it like, where's Waldo? This is where I am in conjunction with somebody else, where they're at. And then there are others who understand it's the whole universe, okay? It's the whole universe, everything that's seen but unseen. It's things we don't know, it's that time warp, all of this stuff. Place, and it's so hard to explain it with English words, but I'm going to do it, all right? It is the sense of where you are, all right? Who you are, what you are. It's that center portion. It's always changing, but it doesn't change. So from the moment you woke up this morning, you have changed, but you really haven't changed, right? So place, that's why the land is so important to us here, because this is our place. This is where we're from. So I defined it like it's more than a physical location. It's the emotional, spiritual connection of oneself to the universe and all it contains in at a specific time and place and space. But it keeps changing, right? Because every moment is different. So this is really important. Place is so important to Indigenous people. So the model is really an instructional design model. And what you can do is that it holds that curriculum you're building. Because you can build all the curriculum you want, and you can call it Indigenous, but if you don't have a framework to hold it, it's going to fall through, like berries in a basket. It's just going to fall through. And like I said, it's been used at different colleges and different universities. I used it traditionally white ones. Katie has used it at traditionally white ones with Indigenous students. I had mainly, a lot of the ESL students like to take my class for some reason. So I would have a lot of ESL students at the university, and I'd have a lot of Anglos, you know, a lot of diversity there. But it's not, Katie says this about it, it's not cultural appropriation, tokenizing, siloing, or compartmentalized representation of Indigenous people. Rather, it's Indigenous instructional design honors, values, and marries Indigenous ways of knowing throughout the content, instruction, and assessment in authentic experiences to assess and represent knowledge in unique ways. So it's something that can be used really anywhere, I think. One of the things is, I don't know if anybody's curriculum developers or anything, but anybody recognize this ADDIE model? If you do workforce ed, or if you work in the workplace, or even in teaching, this is how you should do all your curriculum. You analyze it, design it, develop, implement it, evaluate it, and keep circling around where you need to. So for me, when I am doing like a lesson or a module, I'll pull it in here, I'll design it. And in the development stage, I'll put those Indigenous threads in there to get a deeper sense of learning. I feel that it helps with deeper learning rather than that superficial learning of memorization of things, you know, because a lot of people do that. So one of the words that I learned in Canada, and I love this is First Nations, Utupmuk, which is two-eyed seeing. And I think this is really, really important because we cannot go back, all right? We can't go back to pre-contact, we know that. So what you do is you take the strengths of the Western world and you take the strengths of the Indigenous lens and you marry the two together. You take what is best. And I find when I do that and when I approach my classes that way, there's automatic respect for those students. you know? And they'll respect you as well. They will increase their engagement because you have asked them a story. They have conversed with you. They've shared their experiences with you. You've accepted it. And so you get that relationship developed, which I think is very important for learning. I think you need to have relationships established for your learners. And then, of course, for the administration, you get continued enrollment, and educational goals get met because people are feeling more comfortable. So this is one of the things that I was saying with the distance learning. For many Indigenous people, being face-to-face is a sign of respect. And I was afraid that with the distance learning, which are asynchronous, that you're right online always, and you don't see somebody, bless you, that would not work for us. And that would be the final part of the assimilation, because we don't have the chance to feel that energy or to see the people. So, but you know, like I said, there's strengths either way. I love blended classes now, right? I can video, I can go online, I can travel then. So I love this picture. This is kind of like when I wrote the dissertation, I just let it go. So if there's anything you see you would like to use, please feel free to.